Jersey Central is on location today. We are at the interim home of George Street Playhouse on 103 College Farm Road in New Brunswick, and they're gearing up for their next show, a great moving drama that is called The Immigrant. It's going to be in previews on March 12th. The official open is March 15th, and it will be on stage here through April 7th. What a great way to kind of move on into the spring season with a great on-stage drama. Taking some time to talk with some of the people who are making the show possible. First, the George Street Playhouse's Director of Education, and the director of the show, Jim Jack, is here today. Jim, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And always great to talk to stars. I love actors. We have Ben Pelteson, who is here, who was in the show. And Ben, it's great to see you as well.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, you guys, for taking some time to chat with me.
Yeah.
First, for you, Jim, thank you. You and I had partnered recently on a project for Partnership for Drug-Free New Jersey, so thank you so much for your involvement there. Talk about this show. When I think The Immigrant, right away I think there has to be something in this show that parallels current events. Am I kind of close to what this is about?
Yeah, David Saint, our artistic director, thought this would be a very timely show. It was written in 1985 by Mark Harlick, and it's the story of his grandfather, Haskell Harlick, who fled persecution in Russia with the pogroms and arrived in the port of Galveston, Texas in 1909, and then moved to a very tiny little town in Hamilton. And it really looks at the nature of assimilation and some of the challenges of setting your roots into a new world, a new country, and building your family that way. And there is an absolute parallel to some of the questions and challenges this country is grappling with right now in regard to immigration, and who belongs here, and how do they belong here, and what does this country mean in terms of the values it holds dear. And so a lot of these conversations that come up in the play, I think, are things you could hear down the block at the diner in terms of the questions that are most pertinent to what we're dealing with.
I can imagine people at this show saying, that's my grandfather, that's my great-grandfather, his story was very similar to this. Is that kind of what you're hoping people will take away?
Absolutely. It's a very personal story of one family's history that has universal kind of connections. So I think that what our hope is that everyone sees themselves in this story, and also really recognizes that, you know, once you arrive here in this country and you set your footing here, and this has been true of every group of immigrants who've come here, does it stop with you? You know, where do we, you know, this is a vast country with enormous wealth, where do we keep our doors open? Where do we keep them closed? How and why? And when someone is fleeing violence and persecution throughout the world, America's always been a refuge, or we've had that as an ideal, and is that still true today?
Yeah, and for you, Ben Pelteson, you play Haskell in the show here. You're the
That's
guy
right.
with the banana cart that I read in the synopsis of the show. One man, one banana cart, and one dream. Is that what this is?
Yes, I have all of these things. I am one man with a dream and a banana cart. Yes, so I play a guy who flees a really terrible, violent situation in Russia. These pogroms that were happening were unbelievably violent. You know, I think a lot of people think about Fiddler on the Roof and just we're turning over some tables with chickens on them and people are screaming, but they were really terrifying. You know, there were, you know, massive theft, gang rapes of women, terrible burning down houses. So the stuff that I'm fleeing is really intense. I moved to this country and have nothing. And somebody, before the play begins, suggests that I start off with a banana cart, and I live off of stale bananas for weeks at a time and sleep on the ground. And from that little banana cart, well, you'll see what happens, but I come to establish a life here in this country, which is a beautiful thing.
Do I feel bad for your character throughout the show?
I don't
or is
know.
he
You
kind
come
of
and see. You'll see.
Is he kind of a strong guy that I'm like, this is going to be a great ride to watch him kind of pursue his dream?
Yeah, he's tough, he's smart, and he is, because of his circumstances, a fighter, first for his own survival, and then for his family and his right to be there, and then for the right to help other people like himself who are in also dire straits elsewhere.
For director Jim Jack, visually, what does this set of this show look like? Because it's a kind of a turn-of-the-century period piece. Talk about some of the set and what went into that.
Yeah, what's fascinating about the play is it starts in 1909 and finishes just before the beginning of World War II. And so there's about a 30-year period of time. And it takes place in Texas. And so we really want to get a sense of space and the blue sky, and someone coming to somewhere that's radically different from where they left. There's a lot of projections that kind of connect us to the history of the shtetl and the Russia that Haskell flees, and also that journey, which was so extraordinary. You know, his family had to gather money to get him out of the country. It was illegal for Jews to leave Russia at that time, and so he had to be smuggled out and then make his way. And so that is, we see some of those things. But then there's Jason Sims, our scenic designer, has given us as much space as possible. There's 2 porches, there's a banana cart, there's a vegetable cart, there's a Shabbos dinner, there's a lot. There's 2 other cooking scenes that happen. We're making challah. It's a lot going on. But I think that what we wanted to do is give a palette for the actors to really tell this story, because it's really an actor-driven, relationship-driven story.
Ben, was there anyone, television, stage, movies that maybe you pulled a little bit from, influenced you maybe over the years, that you wanted to incorporate a little of that character in your portrayal
That's
here?
a good question. I tend to try and draw from real life instead of from other actors. I'm probably stealing from other actors unconsciously. I hope I'm not, but maybe I am. I think, I watched a lot of, what I could get videos of pogrom survivors from that part of the world, and there were a few things from that I took. But yeah, I try to avoid conscious theft of other actors' work. Hopefully I have. I don't know.
I don't see any of it.
Okay. All right.
God bless you.
Talk about some of your co-stars, Ben, and
Yeah.
the people you're sharing the stage with.
Absolutely. So there's 4 of us in the cast. My friend Gretchen Hall, who I did a Comedy of Errors with like 12 years ago in Connecticut, plays Ima. She's so there's another couple, right? There's a Texan couple that kind of takes me in, and later my wife, who's played by L'Oreal Freeman, who's a really wonderful actress, recently out of the Guthrie Theaters program in Minneapolis. We meet this couple from Texas. Gretchen Hall plays the wife, and the husband is played by a guy named Ward Duffy. Wonderful cast, really lovely people to be around every day. We commute in from the city about 2 hours each way, so I'm happy to spend that time with them as well as the time in rehearsal. For
Wonderful.
Sure.
Jim,
Yeah.
they do a great job of telling this story, I take it.
I'm so blessed with them. They're very passionate, committed artists, and they love this story. And what's wonderful about it is the humanity that they bring, and the sensitivity they bring to these moments, and the extraordinary humor. Is a very, very funny play, but the humor comes out of people's desire and passion to achieve their dreams, and how some of that gets kind of caught up as we try to figure out what do we share in common with each other and what is different.
All right.
He starts speaking Yiddish and slowly makes his way into being very facile as an extraordinary salesman. As they said of my grandfather, he could sell a mule standing on a rock in the middle of the desert. Haskell could sell a banana standing on a rock in the middle of the desert. So
Wonderful. Well, the show is called The Immigrant, and as the son of an immigrant, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing this show myself. Previews begin March 12th, opening night March 15th here at George Street Playhouse. It will run through April 7th. Get your tickets for the show by visiting georgestreetplayhouse.org or by calling the box office, and the phone number there is 732-246-7717. Thank you guys so much for the time. Congratulations with the show, and I can't wait to see it. So thank you guys
thanks so
for the
much.
time.
Thank you. Have
really
a good one.
appreciate it.